Assalamualaikum and good morning.
Salam.
Are we ready to start, Connie?
Boleh, Doktor? Boleh.
So we can start. Participants, can we start?
Boleh, Doktor.
Okay. Okay, good. So I'm going to off my video to reduce the bandwidth. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this e-workshop. So basically, it's an e-workshop. We are going to do something today on this topic. Okay, so basically, as you already know that we are going to discuss about, not discuss, but basically we are going to explore and practice the objective assessment by cognitive learning taxonomy. And then we only have two things to cover today. So basically the focus. So we are going to discuss the best practice, okay, and then we are going to experience it by constructing a few objective assessment questions at the end of the session, and we can discuss after that. If you have anything, you can ask along our discussion. Now, let's start with this figure. I think everybody are aware that assessment we can divide into summative and formative. And the summative is what we used to because it's about assignments, it's about exams, and it's about assessment of learning. And what do you mean by assessment of learning? Is basically we are making a judgment on the competency of our students, the fitness to practice of our student to the real world, or maybe some qualification for advancement to even higher level. So basically, it's about deciding the fate of our students when they took the exam. So I think basically it is about judgment day. We can call it the judgment day for the students. But on the other hand, we have a formative assessment. And formative assessment is known as assessment for learning. So there is basically assessment for learning. What do we mean by assessment for learning? Basically, there are four purposes of assessment for learning. One is to guide future learning of our students. This is very important. And then we are providing reassurance of learning to our students. So this is something very important to students as well. And then we are promoting reflection while they are learning. So to the assessment, formative assessment. And then the most important is we are trying to shape the values and appropriate learning behavior so that they are getting better in terms of achieving the learning outcome expected from them. So basically, these are two main categories of assessment: summative, formative, and most we are focusing on summative. But formative is something that maybe is going to be in the future, and maybe they are practicing right now because assessment for learning is about feedback to the students for them to improve further. And summative is about making decision whether can they pass or are they fit to practice or are they competent enough to go and to serve the society with the knowledge and the skill that we have provided to them. So basically, these are two things we need to bear in mind when we talk about assessment. And then if you're looking at outcome-based education, basically in outcome-based education is about student at the center, because whatever it is, we need to start thinking that what is important for students to achieve at the end of the program, at the end of the class, or at the end of the course, because that's considered as the expected competency that students have to gain in order for them to be certified as a pass candidate. And all this basically, if you're looking at the course learning outcomes, so there is a very common, we use a cognitive, affective, and psychomotor, but today we are talking about cognitive in specific. And then, and we link it to assessment, but we must bear in mind that even though we are assessing the students at the end, but the most important is how they were trained before we assess them. So there is something like teaching and learning activities. Did they get not adequate exposure, adequate experience, adequate skills that can provide an opportunity to unleash the potential before we assess them. So basically, before we are taking assessment, the teaching learning activity must be appropriately aligned with the learning outcome, or maybe the competency that we want them to achieve, at the end of the course. Then we assess them just to verify, evidence of learning. So this is something that we call it evidence of learning, because we are looking at any evidence that can justify the student have achieved what is supposed to achieve. So this is something that we are looking toward their competency instead of punishment, but basically looking in a positive manner, that we just want to verify whether they can perform or they cannot perform the the expected competency based on the assessment task we give to them. So this is a kind of it's a more positive in terms of the assessment. So that's why when we develop assessment, we must develop appropriately based on what actually we want to assess the student in terms of the competency. So we are talking about cognitive today and evidence of learning. And when we talk specific in terms of the evidence of learning, so basically, okay, we can put into a direct or indirect. And now I think if you are looking at the online, the digital version right now, we call it asynchronous versus synchronous in terms of the evidence of learning. But let's focus on the direct, indirect, because direct is something that assessment that demonstrate learning. It means that the student have to perform in front of us, and we observe and we make judgment on the competency. But indirect, basically assessment that describe learning, and basically is unsupervised, and is unobserved. And the classic example is the something that is assignment, project assignment. We give them assignment, and then they do it in a group. We do not observe them, but basically they submit the assessment assignment, and we rate the assessment based on whatever has been reported. So there is something that unobserved or unsupervised assessment. So these two things that usually we can put in terms of the evidence of learning, and we can always mix both to ensure that we're having enough evidence to certify that they have achieved the learning outcomes or the competency that we expected them to achieve at the end of the learning. So these are two main prongs. And then now we are talking about the Bloom taxonomy, because basically the cognitive taxonomy is something that we used to from C1 to C6, from remembering until we are rating. And if you put the definition of each, basically remembering is about, we want to see whether the student able to recall or remember the previous learned information. So that's basically just recall, And then in terms of understanding, what we expect that the students to able to show is to explain what they have learned in their own words. So it's about understanding. Can they explain about that? So if they can, so that means C2 is already achieved, and there is a certain assessment tool to ensure that. And then the C3 applying is about the ability of the learners to use the learned information in other familiar or the new situation. So it's about application of the knowledge. So the C3. And if we move up to the C4, it's about the analyzing. In analyzing, we want the student able to break down the information into parts or into elements, so that they explore the understanding and the relationship between all this information. So basically, it's about analyzing. So this is a C4. And then C5, evaluating, it means that the student make judgment, the value or something that is, they can see it, of, and then it translates into a course of action. So basically, they judge and they make decision about something. So there is the higher level, and CC definitely the creating, they put all the parts 11 to form something different or something new, something something modified from the original versions of something. Okay, so this is something that C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and C6. So this is we are going to explore one by one what are the objective test items that we can assess those C1 until C6. Now, These are the list of, it's quite small, but never mind, I will make it bigger afterward. So these are the list of objective assessment that I knew of. We have a script concordant test, we have one best answer, or sometimes we call it single best answer. We have extended matching question, we have one correct answer, we have fill in the blank, matching test item, multiple true false, and true false, the classical true false. So then let's put into this, this cognitive taxonomy. So basically, when we are looking at C1 and C2, so basically it's about, these are the 5 objective assessment that are commonly used to assess C1 and C2. So we have the OCA, you have multiple true false, fill in the blank, true false, the classical true false, and matching test item. So these are 5 forms of objective assessment that we can use to assess C1 and C2. And under C3 and C4, we have 2 main types, which is one best answer or single best answer. It's an interchangeable name, and then extended matching questions. And C5 and C6, we call it script concordant test. So I believe, how many of you have heard about script concordant test before? How many of you? I have not. Okay. Anyone have heard about script concordant test? Oh, okay. No. Okay. Never heard before. Okay, that's interesting. I believe single best answer or OBA, one best answer in the MQ, you have heard before, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. How about the other 5 at the C1, C2, which is OCA, multiple true false, fill in the blank? Oh yes. So I think good. So that's really good, because at least you have got some previous knowledge that we are going to utilize that into our work group later on. Okay, now let's try. Okay, now I have prepared a set of questions. Okay, I didn't put any name to that question, because after we have answered all these questions, different between OBA and SBA, they are similar. OBA and SBA is similar. Only sometimes people use OBA and sometimes people use SBA. So basically, it's only one best answer. Okay. So okay, never mind. That is only the name. Just like someone called me Saiful, my colleagues call me Apoy, and my Kelantanese colleague call me Sepo. So something like that, but the same thing. Okay, the same person. Only copy paste. Oh, wait. I will copy paste for you. Wait, let me stop sharing. Okay, let me stop sharing, because I'm going to copy paste the link in the chat board. And then I will give you about 20 minutes, because there are 10 questions, but different form of question. But I'm not going to say anything about the question yet, because there will be further continuation out of that exercise. So let me copy paste, but wait for a while. Where is the link? Okay. Okay, pagi-pagi ni kita ambil assessment dulu lah. Kita ambil exam dulu. Okay. Let's try. Okay. Okay, this is basically individual assignment. Okay, there are 10 questions. Okay, and then I will give you about 20 minutes to try to answering all those questions, and afterward we will discuss further. Okay, so everyone ready to take some very brief examination about USM? Okay.
Yes.
So the question is about USM. Let's see how many of you know about USM, but in the different form of assessment. Okay, so anyone have a difficulty to access the file? Or maybe I can show it here, isn't it? Let me show here in the PowerPoint. Let me check. Yes, and then maybe I can navigate 2 minutes per questions. Okay, wait now. Let's try. Please wait for a while. Maybe it's better for me to share rather than, okay. So this is a let's try. Okay, ready everyone? Maybe we go one by one. You don't have to look at that. Okay. Can everyone see the slide? So I'm going to timing. Each slide, not each slide, but each portion is about 2 minutes. Okay. Yes, we can see the slide. Good. Okay. Ready everyone? So let's start with the first 2 questions. Okay. Done?
Prof.
Yeah.
How to enter into the
No, you just put someone in your do not share your answer in the chat board.
I thought
Do not share your answer in the chat board. Just write down in your maybe your phone, your whatever notes like in your phone.
okay, thank you.
Okay, just use whatever to note, but do not share your answer on the chat board. I saw someone already. Let's see how to answer. Okay, so answer is just jot down in any whatever form in your own setting, phone, papers, whatever, in your computer maybe, but do not put on the chat box. Okay, done with the 2 questions?
Okay, done.
So easy, isn't it? Okay, now let's go to the next questions. Okay. Sorry. Done? Oh, kena khusyuk ni. Kalau tak respon ni.
Okay, done.
Dia tengah khusyuk ke tengah muhasabah diri ni. How about others? Done? Majority done?
Mula-mula senang ni.
Okay. Let's give maybe another 30 seconds for our colleague to get the answer or to put the answer. Banyak tembak ni. Okay. Consider done lah. Anyone is not yet or maybe still in the process of getting the answer? Tak sempat nak Google. Tak payah Google, tak ada dalam mana-mana jawapan. Google, okay? Okay, so good. Next, if I think everybody, okay, done. Okay, so the next one. Oh. Dan? Sedap je semua ni, jawab soalan ke?
Okay, done.
Tengah buat muhasabah ni. Dan Yes, okay. Kita bagi bersungguh-sungguh fikir bro. Okay. Soalan lepas ni lagi seronok kan? Okay, so dan? Dah ada yang menyesal ke masuk bengkel ni kena jawab soalan ni? Okay, so let's go to the next one. Oh. Ada sebab Google lagi. Wah, cepat ya. Dia dah siap semua? So everyone done? Wah, so okay, so good. Let's go to the next level. Apa slide tak nak gerak ni? This one, yes. Done? Done. Oh, very easy, eh? Okay, that's good. Maybe we give another 15 seconds. Maybe there are few participants still looking for the answer. Okay, so let's move to the next question. Right? Done all 10. Very fast. Wow, they are so advanced. Huh? Okay, so okay, done with this one. Done. Yes, yes. Okay, good. So the next one. Okay, done. Yeah, I believe done. Okay, now last questions. Okay, how many of you have done all? I think this one is the last one. Okay, can I close this one? Okay. Okay, because it's supposed to be the same with the with the PDF file from the link. Okay, now okay, let me find my original slide. Now, before we start, so what did you feel from the 10 questions just now, from various forms of objective test items? So yeah, anything that you like to share, your own experience just now? Yeah, anyone?
Assalamualaikum.
Salam salah, yeah, go ahead.
Just to share, the level of difficulty increase as the number of questions increase too.
Oh, okay, okay. So difficulty level increase when the number of the questions increase too. Okay. So thank you. Yes, anyone else?
Cara yang soalan ditanya yang pelbagai tu, kita tak rasa monotonous, tak rasa boring kat situ dalam nak menjawab.
Oh, tak rasa boring?
Yalah, sebab cara soalan was presented kind of, kalau tak macam halfway, macam especially kalau you ada banyak MCQ kan, it's kind of macam letih mental you tengok kan, and then macam tu lah.
Okay, kind of motivating, isn't it? Motivating.
Dia rasa nak
Okay.
jawab tu. It's more what's next. Macam kita expect something kan out of it, exam tu, rather than jawab je lah monotonous je, MCQ 100 soalan kata macam gitu.
Okay, interesting. Let's see on the chat board. Easy question but difficult to answer. Quite challenging. Okay, there are question variations. So yeah, multiple type of question. So okay, some of the questions were from general understanding and informative based questions. Stress level increase and the form could change. Okay, so okay, that's very interesting. Okay, now I'm going to give you, before I reveal the answer, I'm going to give you the answer for each of the question, and let's see, do you agree or not with the answer? Okay. Wait, there is interesting comment. Actually, the instruction to answer were not properly given for each of the questions. Oh, okay. Yeah, because that's only, directly to the answer. Usually in the exam, we give, instruction on how to answer. Okay. Okay. But this one just, just to see the different types of objective test items. Okay, that's interesting. Now, before I reveal the question, so I'm going to give you a group task. Okay, it's quite easy. Enjoy, but yeah, enjoying answer, yes, definitely. But to construct is another, is another level of difficulty. Okay. Okay. Now, these are the group tasks. I'm going to give you a guideline. So I already summarized the guideline in one document. So your task is you need to classify. Okay, you need to give classification to each of the question, whether they are script concordance, either is OBA, SBA, EMQ, and antitrophos, whatever, based on the guideline that I'm giving you soon. Okay, let me so let me copy paste the guideline first so that you can have a look. Okay, review test item guidelines. Okay, I hope that you can download it first and then put in your laptop or maybe your smartphone so that you can access those guidelines. So, and then I'm going to divide you into 10 groups. I think it's too many. How many of us? Oh, 97. 97. Yeah, I think 10 group is good. About roughly about 8 to 9. 9 to 10. Okay. So I'm going to give you into divide you into 10 groups, and then based on the guideline, okay, based on the guideline that I just share with you, okay, just share with you, and then please classify each of the test item just now, you have 10, into the category, and then later on, I would like you to share your findings, and then afterward I give you the answer for each questions, as well the answer of the classification after your group task. Is that clear enough for everyone? Wake up session. Okay. Okay, so it's just easy. Review the guideline, and then based on the guideline, classify the test item that you just answer it. Okay, just now. Okay, so I'm going to assign you automatically into the 10 group, but please remember the group number, because I'm going to use the same group number, okay, to assign you afterwards. Okay, so please remember the group number where you are after this. Okay, Ready, everyone? Just a very easy task. Review the guideline and classify the 10 questions that you just answered just now according to the guideline. Any question before we start? Yes, yeah, mean that no questions. No question mean that you are ready to be in the group. Okay, so it's about how much time do you require? Can we start with 45 minutes? I plan to give you 60 minutes, but because of the level of your previous knowledge and experience, can I give you about 45 minutes? Is that okay? 45 minutes? Okay, so that's good. Okay, so if that's okay, so 45 minutes begin from now. But if you have anything to ask, you can just call me to join your group, okay, as usual. So the breaking out groups will begin now. You just accept the invitation to join the group. See you after 45 minutes. Anyone have problem to join the breakout session? Anyone have any difficulty? You can join your group now. I can still see many of you in the main hall. Would you like to join the group? Okay, welcome back. Uh, welcome back. Rosanna, can you unshare your screen? Okay, good. Okay, now let's go to. Oh yeah, before that, do you need a short break? Do you need short break, or we can continue? Okay, so we will have a short break. About 5 minutes, maybe it's not that it's too short. Maybe 10 minutes short break. So we continue at 10:25. Okay, so we continue 10:25. everyone already in this platform, ready to continue? Okay, yes. Okay, now where is my slide? Okay. Okay, so that's good. Now, because we have 10 questions and we have 10 groups, so maybe we follow the order. Okay, so group 1 will give your opinion on the types with the classification of number 1 and the 2, number 2, number 3, 4, 5 according to the group number. Is that okay? So if that okay, so maybe I will show the questions, and then I would like to have a comment from group 1 first on the first question, and then followed by second question by second group, third by third group, and so on and so forth. Okay, so ready the group representative. So you need to have anyone, at least one person from the group to present your findings. I think okay, this one. So group number 1. So what is your opinion whether the classification of this question, which type of objective assessment item? Yes, group 1. You still remember your group?
Dr. Saiful?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, I'm from group 1. I think the first question is very simple, straightforward, and there is only 2 options. So
Okay.
the type of question is true, false.
Okay, good. Okay. Any objection from other group? It's quite straightforward. So lucky for group 1 to have this question. Okay, so I don't think anyone have objection, isn't it? Okay, good. Let's continue to number 2. I think it's quite obvious right now. Group number 2.
I think it's the same. It's true or false also, like question 1.
Okay, so true, false. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Both of you are correct. This the classical true false questions. It's very simple, and it definitely just a recall. Just a recall. Now, I will reveal the answer. You can check with your answer that you have you had before. So the answer will be this: the answer true and false. Okay. I believe everybody got the correct answer. Okay. Yeah, before I move toward the third question, yeah, any comment from group 1 and group 2? What do you think about this question? Do you think is suitable for our undergraduate? Group 1,
It
group
can
2?
be suitable if we are asking the basic, their basic knowledge, depending on the taxonomy level of that content.
Okay, so it means that.
But some of us still use it for our quiz.
Okay, good. Maybe OCE. Okay, but wait, later on. Okay, how about the other group? Do you have any comment about this question? Do you think it's suitable for our undergraduate students or even postgraduate students? Yes, any thoughts from other groups, not only group 1 and 2? Not suitable. Okay, not suitable. Not suitable. Yeah, let me see the comment. So yes, but so people like to write rather than to talk. Let me check. For the fourth answer, can we have the correct answer, please? Fourth answer. Oh, okay. The first, I think USM is Universiti Pulau Pinang. Universiti Pulau Pinang, not Pulau Mutiara. That is the correct answer. Okay. Science Malaysia was first known as Universiti Pulau Pinang. That is the correct answer. Okay. What else? Not suitable? Yes, but not too many. Maybe 1% only. Small percentage is fine. Okay. So I think this is just my opinion. I think depending on your learning outcomes. If your learning outcome is just recall, and I think true false is a good match with the learning outcome, but that particular learning outcome. So that is depending on your GSU or maybe your blueprint. Okay, so but definitely is depending on the requirement of the learning outcome. Is it 1%? Is it 2%, 5%, and any other percent? But in general, I would like to use a different method. Okay, in general, I would like to use different method, even though it's it can be used to test those kind of learning outcomes. That's my personal views on that. Okay, now thank you for the inputs. Now let's go to the third questions. Okay. Okay, so the third question, yeah, definitely the third group, the group number 3. Yes, what is your findings from the discussion? Group number 3?
Yes, doctor. This is multiple true-false question, correct?
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, any opinions? Your based on your experience just now, and then based on your classification. So, what do you think this kind of question? If we want to use it in our undergraduate students or even postgraduate students? Yeah, any thoughts?
Even though the questions look easy, but actually we don't have the definite answer. It's quite difficult. So it can be used.
Oh, you think it can be used?
Yeah.
Okay, so how about the other groups? What do you think? Yes, the other group.
I think Dr. Saiful, I think can be used for me first year students or in second years. True, you are talking about number 3, right?
Yes, number 3. Yeah, definitely the multiple true false.
Yeah. I think it's fine for like first year students, you know.
Okay. So
But
basically,
not the like higher level, like third year, fourth year.
because they are covering different learning outcomes already, isn't it? The expected.
No, and also the questions, I mean, we just take example of 3. I mean, it's kind of like just memorizing and you know, give the answer. It's not something too much of like analyzing.
Okay, still on memory. Okay, so still can be used, isn't it? Okay, Q1
Yes, but maybe for first year students, you know.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, any other thoughts from other colleagues that you like to share that different from? Yeah, carry on.
Assalamualaikum.
Salamullah. Yeah.
For me, this category of questions is just same as number 1 and 2. True false. It's just that it has multiple multiple stems, multiple options. I mean multiple questions. I think it's just the same as number 1 and 2. So I think the category is still C1, and it can be tested in all levels in MCQ, depending on what paper, depending on the paper lah. So it's just that you want to assign a C1. That's all.
Okay. So you mean that the most important is before we construct the question, we need to know the level of cognitive, isn't it?
Yes.
And then we match with the appropriate or maybe suitable types of objective items assessment. Is it what you mean?
True.
Okay, good. So usable, in terms of usability, yes, it is usable, but it's depending on the learning outcomes of our assessment of interest, isn't it? Okay, so that's good. Okay, I think
Dr.
that's the
Saiful.
whole. Yeah, carry
So
on.
if there's no difference between true, false, and MTF ni,
Mhm.
if there's no different, so why in the first place there are two different format? Why two?
Okay.
So if you, because you're saying there's no different, right? Yeah, still go back to CLO. But then why do we need two different format ni? Why can't we just use TF or MTF only?
Okay, so it's
Okay.
depending on how you want to put, because if you use multiple true false, you can ask more about the same focus. For example, the teams is University Science Malaysia, you can put A, B, C, D, E. So there are more bullets you have to to ask about the teams. But if you put the classical, the true false, it's basically only one team per question. So basically, it's very focused one per team, but this one is a few per team. So it's depending on your needs. Sometimes there are certain learning outcome. There are many there are many things that we can cover under the same theme of the topic. So depending on how it's relevant to our learning outcomes. So it's very focused, then go for true false, because not many things that we can ask about that. But if let's say you have a broader and then wider scope of topic, but you can choose multiple true false because it can cover more areas to be assessed. So that's the only, I think, I can see difference. And in fact, multiple true false can be just recall, but sometimes it requires certain understanding as well. So sometimes if you put in the appropriate stems in terms of options, you can go up to C2 sometimes. Yeah?
Okay, so meaning to say, for MTF ni, when we can increase the C level also, yeah?
Yeah, to C2, because sometimes you need to have some understanding about the whole story before you can answer the questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the answers are this one: true, true, false, true, true. So can you check with your answer? How many got all five?
Two.
How many of you get all correct? You mean that your answer is correct? Me, oh, so congratulations.
Wait, Dr. Saiful, I thought B is false.
Huh?
B isn't B is false?
B is false.
Is B false?
B is true.
Why we don't consider IPPT lah as another campus?
IPPT is not campus, you know.
Okay.
Yes, you must
How
read
about
the
the
history.
India one?
The India one also.
IPPT is not campus basically.
Okay.
India one?
Yeah, I thought the India one is
The India
considered.
one.
Ah.
No, that is not considered in campus as well.
I know,
Only
I think you have to
campus.
check. Sometimes the way they presented is very deceiving.
Because yes, they say
more
have
than
five,
more than
right?
three, you know? Yeah, 5, I think.
Yeah.
It's 5. As we
Uh,
know, there are 5.
You can check with HR.
I think when they present the slides, right? Always
Yes,
like you
yes.
know that it's more than 3. It's not 3 only.
Oh, I mean that. Okay, that's okay. You can challenge the questions. We will rectify that. Okay, but never mind. You can always, this is something that when it's happened, you can give bonus mark, definitely. You can omit and then give everyone 1, or maybe you can just omit, left it with 4, if that happened. Okay?
Well, the answer testing about the definition of campus too, like like IPPT doesn't fit the definition of campus. That's why it's wrong.
Yeah, definitely. IPP or even even it's USM, we only have USM program there. It's not
At
campus
least the
USM.
India one should be
No.
counted, right?
The Indian one is not our campus, That is belong to them. We just have program there. They just borrow our program, and 90% of that they are honor the whole thing. It's not us, basically. Indian campus only program. Just like you have other university who adopt your program curriculum, just pay royalty. That's all. It's not our campus. We have no authority over there. Do you get what I mean? Okay, but never mind. Don't worry, don't worry. Don't argue about this because we believe it was vetted. Okay, that's okay. Good discussion from simple question. Yeah, definitely. And see, what do you think, Professor Tan Sri Dato Zulkifli? Which is it? Fourth, third, fifth, sixth?
Fifth.
Yes, fifth. Correct. See, that's good. The rest, I think. Okay, let's move to the next question.
Sorry, Prof.
Sorry.
I've got a question if you don't mind.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, you see, these questions have the different levels of difficulty, and also comparing the number 1 and number 2, which is straightforward, true and false, whereas number 3, multiple true and false, right? So the question I'm thinking is in terms of allocation of marks. Usually MCQ questions, we tend to put the same marks for each question. But this one, like number 3, obviously it takes a longer time to answer. That means should there be a differential marks allocation for, and as we progress 4, 5, 6 right up to 10, 10 definitely takes a longer time to get the answers. So that's the issue with MCQ allocation of marks.
Okay.
Just a question.
Okay, so basically in terms of allocation of mark, usually we treat if let's say a similar level of similar level of taxonomy, we treat one statement as 1 mark. So basically for the previous one is only 1 mark. This one you can go up to the 5 mark. Okay, you can do that because you have 5 answer, then for each answer you can go for 1 mark. But in our practice, for example, in School of Medical Sciences, we only give 1 mark because we do not have the true false, the classical one. We only have this one, and we only have the single best answer, which is they are equally, that difficulty is equal, and then the required thoughts processing is almost similar, so we give an equal mark for each. So 1, 1. That is our based on the consensus at the school level, and after taking opinion from the experts who are involving with all this item development. Yeah, depend. So you can decide at your school level on how to go about this, or even if you have department at department level or unit or program level. But our practice is we give 1 mark per MCQ because of every MCQ have similar difficulties. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but it depends on you how to you want to decide on the marks. That's expert judgment required over there. Okay. Okay, good. Let's go to number 4. Okay. Yes. Group number 4. Your findings.
Hi, Prof. I'm
Yeah.
from group 4. We think the answer is one correct answer.
So OCA.
OCA.
Okay. Okay. Why?
Because actually there's only one answer here. The rest that's why we didn't choose the single best answer, because there's only one answer.
Okay. Only one answer. Okay. But there are certain things that they need to consider, isn't it? The legal affair has been established in USM, so that's the context we put. Okay. Yes. Any other thoughts? Any objection from other groups? No. Okay. Seems that agree. It's quite straightforward. So the answer is A. Okay. I believe everyone got the right answer, isn't it? Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. The same question. Do you think this kind of question suitable to our students? Group 4.
Yes, I think still can be used, especially for the first year.
Okay. Okay. So still, in terms of suitability is at a lower, level of learning, isn't it? First year or maybe even sometimes second year, depending on the situation. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Any other opinions from other groups members? Yes, similar to Q1, 2, and 3. Okay, so it seems that everyone got the same idea right now. Okay, let's go. Let's move to the fifth questions. Okay. Fifth questions. Yes, group number 5. Where is no group number 5? Hopefully you still remember your group number. Any member from group number 5?
Ada.
Sorry. Okay.
Kita cuba. Kita cuba.
Okay.
Dekat untuk soalan 25 ni, bagi grup kami peringkat awal tu kita letak fill in the blank, sebab situ ada nak apa, macam ada elemen blank apa, ada kawasan yang di blank kan, tapi bila lepas baca apa guideline tu, kita ubah fikiran, dia mungkin jadi OCA. Sebab dia diberi apa, item pilihan tu telah diberi, distractor tu diberi untuk kita pilih. Walaupun dalam soalan tu macam ada blank. That's what we think. Cuma dekat group pun kita bincang sama ada OCA atau OBA. Macam itulah. Sebab nampak macam soalan
atau OBA, okay.
Itu je discussion. Tapi rasanya mungkin cenderung kepada OCA lah. One correct answer. Walaupun pilihan soalan tu nampak macam dekat-dekat. Tapi kita berpendapat akhirnya bincang-bincang rasa we go for OCA lah. One correct answer. And recall because vision ni kita rasakan ada banyak dekat website, cuma kadang-kadang kita pun terlupa.
Okay.
Alright.
Okay, thank you, group 5. Okay, so yes. How about the other groups? What do you think? There are 3 types here. Can be considered FIB, fill in the blank, OCA, or OBA. So, what about your findings? Other groups?
Prof. Saiful, for MCQ, multiple choice question, only the best answer should be chosen. Whether A, B or A, B, C, D, only the best answer will be chosen. So for question number 1 and 2, even though there's 2 and 4, but for me, is about how to we have to choose whether A or B. Whether it's true or false, it depends on what we have to choose A or B only. So still MCQ, still whether it's the best or the only answer, still based on that principle, we have to choose A or B. That's my
the candidate. So I mean, what you mean that for the MCQ, the students are given option for them to choose, isn't it?
Yes, only one answer should be correct, not more than that. Even though there's a best answers, maybe there's a like for 05 question, we have maybe just only one answers, but other answers also become good distractor. So still at the end we have to choose A or B, C or D.
So you mean regardless of the types of MCQ, but they need to choose one answer. Belong to that STEM. Okay. Yes. So from your opinion, you are more inclined toward which type? FIB, OCA, or OBA? What do you think?
Still, for me, the stand is still A, B, C, or D. This is MCQ. The others is like a good distractor. The best distractor is nearer to the answers. Yeah. So for me, regarding on this MCQ or developing a good question, still we have to consider about this factor as well. So question number 1, 2, or 5 for me is good an example for MCQ, and of course for our student we have to inform that this is MCQ. Yeah, the best answer is only one. I mean the
So you
correct
mean
answer is only one. Yeah.
so you mean that you are more toward OBA, is it? The single best answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me,
So for
that's
you,
the nature of MCQ.
okay. So basically, you are more inclined toward one best answer. Okay. Yes. Any other thoughts? That's quite interesting. I purposely put this question for discussion. Yes. Any other opinions before we conclude?
Prof, may I ask
Yes.
the difference between the one best answer and single best answer? Because sometimes we will do this multiple choice question as by giving 1, 2, 3, and then ABC they have all of them, and then B is 1, 2, and then C is 1, 2, 3, something. That one is single best answer, right? You know,
that we call it different. That is a complex matching.
Complex.
That is a complex. But I do not put here because many of authorities are not yet not really recommend that, even though there is that kind of K type we call it. Yeah.
Okay. That one is not recommended.
It's not yet because you know, sometimes they argue that you can use other other more direct formats of MCQ to tell, because otherwise it's a very difficult to to justify.
Because when we develop this kind of question, we will give the best answer full marks, and then maybe they can choose only 2 of them. We will give half mark or 0.4 marks. So
okay.
it's something like a subjective question lah. They give how many questions, so answer. So so that's why I want to ask, what is a single best answer and one best answer? Thank you.
Okay. So one best and single best answer we will follow afterward. We discuss afterward. Okay, because the the characteristic of single best and one best answer is similar. Just the name is different. Okay. Only one correct answer, that is something we need to differentiate between OCA and OBA or SBA. Okay, so just remember OBA and SBA is the same person with different name. Okay, is that okay? So don't worry about the name as long as you know the features of each. Okay, now this question basically when it was developed, so basically it was for fill in the blank. You know, that is the main purpose, because the fill in the blank is just continuation of certain stem, and you just need to fill in the blank. But I just modified the classical fill in the blank. You do not have options, you know. But because of the MCQ, I just put A, B, C, D, so it looks like MCQ. So just for the different for the discussion purpose, and definitely if you think about between OCA and OBA, okay, if you are looking at the distractors A, B, C, D, okay, if you're looking back the the guidelines, okay, OBA is the ABC, we call it the continuum on the same continuum. It means that everything about socio-economic, so the same. It means that it's homogeneous. Okay, when it's homogeneous, the only differentiating in terms of distractor and the answer is well-being, condition, status, and level. Okay, level. But if you look at the features, if the students able to recall the USM, mission, basically is about recall. It's not really, it's not really need to understand that. It's totally recall. So this is something that I would say that this is typical features of fill in the blank. So it's a recall, even though it's A, B, C, D, whether you know or you don't know. And even if you, for example, let's put A, B, C, D, you close that one, the student have to fill in the blank, whereby the student have to put the answer on their own. So, but definitely it's just recall. That's why it's not really OBA, because it's a recall. OBA usually is applying something. And OCA is not really OCA because the answer will be so closely to each other. So it's more toward fill in the blank because of that features. Okay. Any question? Am I confusing you?
Yeah, yes, Dr. Saiful, confusing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
what is the correct answer for, I mean, question number 5? I mean, what is the type of question? Is it fill in the
Okay.
blank ataupun
The
is
type
the
of
still
question
yeah.
is fill in the blank.
Oh, okay.
Yes, fill in the blank.
Okay, but then
But
if we refer to the notes you give us just now,
okay.
I don't know, but because I'm referring to it, it says here the advantages, right?
Yeah.
Advantages for fill in the blank ni. It says there minimize gaze, encourage more intensive study. A student must not maknanya bukan sorry. In the first para tu no hint test construction tu. Ada ayat tadi sorry ya.
They need to understand lah basically. Situ.
Yeah, the guessing tu. They
Yeah,
either
they need to understand. Not
yeah.
Not purely recall. Yeah.
Okay, but then my question is, if because you already give the answers kan, choices of answers.
Yeah.
So in this case, the students still can tembak, right? But whereas pure fill in the blank, they still can tembak, they still can put in any answers, out of more than the 4 choices you're given. But in this format, the question you give us ni, they have only 4 choices. Then from those 4 choices, they can pick any of those, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a bit different if you have only the question without the choices. And
okay.
So what is the, I mean, in terms of the suitability though, which one do you think is good to be used? Is it with the choices you are given now, ataupun without the choices, or is it in this, because now we are giving our assessment online, right? Usually online we want the system to mark for us. So definitely you need to have this format lah. Maknanya the choices is kind of the MCQ, right? Okay. So in reality, let's say we during the true assessment ni, which is the best format? Just give fill in the blank without the choices, or with the choices? Thank you.
Okay, if you are looking at the objective, because in the objective item we need to have options. Remember just now, one of your colleague mentioned that in any objective you need to have the options for the student to choose. So if you fill in the blank for the objective, you need to put the options, because to subscribe to the the multiple the objective assessment items. So you put ABC. But if you let's say you are opt for short answer, which is not objective, it's more toward essay, but this short answer fill in the blank. So you can omit the ABC, and the question itself is not now objective, but it's more toward the open-ended question that allow the students to give the answer and to write the answer on their own. So depending, because I'm talking about objective right now, so that's why I put A, B, C, D.
Okay, got it.
Okay, and then in fact, just to like you said just now, it's easier to go for online marking. It's automatic if the student put A, B, C, D rather than the supply type. Yes, you can put the supply type, but sometimes because of the technical issue and so on and so forth, is more difficult as compared to if you put A, B, C, D and let the student choose.
Okay, so meaning to say, in this format now, is it a hybrid? Is it MCQ, or is it still I don't get that the type tadi?
This we call it objective assessment items.
Okay, all right. So the type of question tadi, when it cannot fit, fill
FIB lah, fill in the blank.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
That's why you have the blank space there. It looks like OCA and OBA definitely.
Okay, all right, thank you. So in terms of the level, the cognitive levels, still basically the same lah. C2, all right.
C1, C2 most.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay, so I hope this is quite tricky, to discuss here, but I hope you can grab the message to see the different types of objective assessment items. Okay, so now, so definitely B. If you go back and look at the mission vision of USM, definitely B. Okay, you can check. Okay, now let's go to group number 6 for the question 6. Yes, what's your findings from your discussion? Group 6?
Assalamualaikum.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, Prof. Saiful, we choose as writing match test item for this question 6.
Okay, for MTI lah basically, matching test item.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, any objection from other groups? Agree. Okay, so do you think this kind of question is suitable for our students?
It depends on the context of question, I think.
Oh, it depends on the context of question. So yes, you like to elaborate more about that?
Because if example for us, if we have a question like identifying which medication is suitable for which disease, then it may be possible for those even in the 3rd year or 4th year. So yeah, I think it's suitable for us. I think it's suitable to use this kind of question.
Okay, okay.
Thank you,
So
Prof.
that's your thoughts about that. How about the other groups? Would you like to subscribe this kind of objective item format in your
Prof, I think this one is suitable for to evaluate the student understanding on certain terms. Also, we have one terms and then we have the evaluation, or one process and then we have the process evaluation and ask them to match it between them. So it's possible because sometimes student maybe will mix up. Based on this, I think we can evaluate the student understanding on certain topic, especially terms.
Okay, okay, good.
Specific terms. Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, looks like it's a good choice for you. Okay, yes. How about the cognitive level? Do you think it can go up to, beyond C2? This kind of question, what do you think? Because from the literature, it seems that we only say this kind of question up to, C2 understanding. But can it be up to beyond C2? What do you think?
I think if it's I don't know personally, Prof, because it's a very quick pro like matching test. Unless if you're doing like extended matching test, then I think it can be up to C3 because you have more information for you to apply. Correct?
Okay.
I don't know, that was like my way of thinking.
I agree. Can up to C3 for application types. It depends on the question that we ask.
Okay, so mean that you need to give more features, more info for the student to analyze, isn't it?
Yes, to analyze, to apply to evaluate
apply,
the application, to evaluate the application on the knowledge that they learn.
Okay, that's quite interesting. Okay, yeah. Any last thought from anyone before we move to the item 7? Any last thought?
For me, that's helpful. Because going back to the point tadi, must we put elaborative info in this question? That's my question. Because for me, when I attempted this question just now, although it's just short, right? Apex. So I have to recall. I have to understand what is apex.
Okay.
And then I have to ask myself, okay, why, and also how this information be connected between column A and column B. So go back to my question tadi. Because just now we mentioned about maybe we need elaborative info, right? So I kind of disagree with that. For me, even with this short information, it still require quite a deep thinking and
Oh, okay.
connection and engagement, so that only then we can understand which one is the answers. For example, hebat, right? Hebat. So if we never heard about hebat, definitely we cannot get the answer. But if you know about hebat, then you will straight away connect. Oh, it's about student, right? So then we analyze the the answer on the column B, right? So that's my opinion lah. So going back to my question tadi, do we still need elaborative information with this kind of question, or the one that you shared is already a good example? Okay, thank you.
Okay, this is something that is a typical example for MTI, what I'm sharing here. Whatever they mentioned just now is they say that they want to extend, so but basically if you are subscribing to this kind of format, usually this is the way that we put, okay, this is the way we put. This is quite standard, just a matter of you identify what will be the column A, I mean that the theme of column A, and then what is the theme of column B. And for example, the theme for column A is achievement of USM, that is under A, this achievement of USM. And then B is about the features of the achievement. So what are those? So they just need to match between the achievement of USM and the features of that achievement. So this is a typical MTI. But if you want to modify to a certain level, I think that can be done as long as you are the expert in the field. You know the basic format, the basic skeleton of the MTI, and definitely you can expand it according to your according to your context, because everyone context have a different unique features that we can enrich the format of MTI. And just like one of you mentioned just now, if you put properly, it can be even C3. I saw questions from here, and there were 5 answer options to choose from. So you need to do a level of thinking. Okay, so okay.
Prof, sorry, Prof.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question? When you say about application, right? I don't know. When you look at the cognitive from Bloom's taxonomy, right? So application is when you use actually in a real life situation, example for clinical, or something which is new. So in this case, the student needs to actually digest, understand, and reapply into a new situation, correct? Or how? Because if not by having such a very short sentence explaining the term, would that be sufficient to put it under C3?
Oh, so you mean that this one? Okay, now let me explain. Basically, if you understand what is APEC, you can get the answer already here. It's just about understanding. It's not yet I'm giving any clues for them to apply the information and to make the best match for that. And you know about hebat, then if you understand about hebat, you know already what is it. If you understand about research university, you know about it already. If you understand global impact, again, you know about it already. It's not, to me, I think, because we already taught the students about this and then already understand, and there is no new situation we introduce here. It's no exactly no situation, new situation they need to apply. So basically, this question is pure C2 when this question was developed. Do you get what I mean? Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would agree, Prof. I think this is C2 because there is already a declared description of all those terms is formally declared already. So it's matching the thing. Incidentally, what are the correct matches?
Okay, so let me reveal. What is the answer? This one. Okay, so this is the answer. Okay, so don't worry. I'm not going to assess you on the answer, but basically the most important message is about understanding. Okay, if you read, you understand. Yeah.
Jasmine, actually, the level, the taxonomy level, C1, C2, C3, it depends on the type of question. Is it they have a limitation for the type of question? to up to the certain level of taxonomy.
Yes, I
Like
think
you said this kind of question is only up to level 2, but it's not depends on how we ask. If we ask an application question for this kind of matching matching type question,
okay.
is it
So
possible?
yeah, I think as I mentioned just now, you can possibly modify this one into the higher level, but we need to give more no info for the student to apply whatever the information they have about whatever task you give in the A, so that they can apply in this new situation in the column B. Yes, definitely yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
It's
definitely
not
yes.
limited
No.
based on the question types.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
This one I'm just showing the format that I focus on C2 because typically the MTI is for this kind of format and this kind of understanding. This gives a typical one. But once you understood how the format is working, I think you can always modify according to your need, as long as you don't go beyond the limitation of these questions. Because C3 I think is still applicable if you if you develop the items properly, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Prof.
I'm introducing the format. Okay, yes. Go ahead.
Hello, Prof. My answer for research university is the best university in Malaysia. I think that is correct.
Okay, basically, if you're looking at the main philosophy of APEC is not about to be best in university. It's about to transform higher education in the context of USM, because it's about USM.
The research university.
Research university is MIRA, basically.
No, I'm just joking now.
Oh, sorry. Research university. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. No, it's not about best university. No? Okay. So don't worry. It's quite interesting to use a USM as an example to develop all this question. Okay, let's move. Yes, any last comment? Otherwise, we move to the next question. Okay, I think no more questions. So let's move to the next one. Okay, so item number 7. So group number 7. Yes. What's your findings? Group 7, where are you? Group 7, anyone?
Saya cuba, Doktor.
Okay, go ahead.
Untuk number 7, I think it's one best answer. The reason why is because of the answer, the question itself. Dia ada keyword, saya tengok keyword the promotion track, which is the best for him. So implying that all of the available track too is available for him to apply. It's just a matter of which one is the best one for him. So I choose this one OBE or single best answer.
Okay, so OBA, you say OBA. Okay, good. How about the other groups? Do you have any different opinion from the group 7? Same, OBA, same. Okay, so same. So okay, yeah, definitely. I think that when the question was developed, yes, is the purpose is for OBA. But what do you think OBA in your context in terms of the assessment of students? Do you think is applicable or not applicable at all? 7. Syuhada tadi. Is it Syuhada?
Ya saya. Bagi saya
Yeah.
untuk decide a question applicable untuk undergraduate or even postgraduate, sebab kalau tengok the guideline yang Doktor share tadi, dia punya in table 1 it seems that untuk OBA punya question, actually all the answer tu betul. Cuma it's a matter of identifying which is the most correct one. So I think that require a high level of thinking because it's not just identifying which one is correct or not.
Okay, so basically you need to to apply and to analyze the information given before make decision, isn't it?
Yeah, betul.
You are from which school?
Saya daripada bukan campus, saya identity.
So you are from non-campus, huh? Okay. Jangan terasa orang PPT. Okay. Yeah, that is the fact basically, but never mind. You can discuss with the top management if you have any problem. Okay, so yeah, IPPT, maybe you are clinical or non-clinical?
Non-clinical.
Non-clinical. So it means that in the non-clinical, the format is still applicable in your context. How about the other school? Maybe from different other campus, or maybe different group of program. What do you think? Do you think this is suitable to you as well?
Dr. Saiful, ID.
Yes, ID.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
for me, yes. Yes, because it require thinking, like you said just now, require some analysis. But just my question, this level, is it analysis or kind of, or evaluation? Is it C5 or can it go to C6 also? As a comparison,
C6 create is a bit difficult.
sorry, no, C5, evaluate.
C5 evaluate. Yes, I think can be, but I'm more preferred to tap within C3 and C4 because it's
C3, C4.
more toward analysis of the information. Yeah.
Because there is no element of comparison, eh?
Yes, I think it's more toward, whatever the data you have now, you just analyze and you make your move based on the data and based on your whatever decision you have in your mind.
Okay, but then in terms of the answer, because there are options that teaching standard leadership research, right? So for me, I know when I turned to the question just now, I say, oh, then I need to kind of compare between what is teaching track, what is standard, what is leadership.
Okay.
So that, for me, there are element of evaluation there. So, but you were saying this question when you design, you are more looking into the understanding and
C3, C4, yeah.
Okay.
C3, C4.
Okay, but go back to your question tadi, yeah. For me, I can apply this in my area.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay, so I hope the purpose that I'm showing all this question with different type is just to expose to everyone about there are variations of objective assessment that you can use, can consider that suitable with your learning outcomes. Particularly the cognitive learning outcome that we are covering right now. So I hope until now you can see the difference of the formats and the different ways of how we can use to tap with different learning outcome, particularly for the cognitive learning outcomes. Hopefully you can see that in based on your experience answering, based on your experience reviewing, and now you are discussing about those those types of objective assessment items critically, okay, from the Q&A that you have shared just now. Okay, so basically this OBA. Any other last comment about this question?
Doktor, saya ada
Yeah.
soalan, saya Jamila. Kalau macam apa, what would be the best way to construct this kind of question? Let's say, maybe let's say I have this kind of question, and then during vetting punya session, for me the best answer contoh lah adalah C. Tapi yang the other vetters kata, oh no, we think the best answer for us it would be B. So what would be the best way to construct this kind of question so that it would not raise any validity issues and whatnot?
Yeah, that is during vetting. You mean during vetting, isn't it?
people might have different opinions. So
Yeah.
what would be, yeah.
Okay, so that's why one of the requirement when someone who are going to develop this question must be the expert in the area. You know, so someone must be well versed with all these, you know, all the contents as well as the principles and relevant, relevant informations about the area to be assessed through the, you know, the assessment item. So I think the keyword is here is experts is the most important right now. So, and then while waiting, you know, as long as experts have a strong evidence to support why this answer is the best as compared to others, then we can still accept as answer. Okay, maybe this will be, let's discuss about this when I reveal the answer. Okay, when I reveal the answer, maybe you can comment further.
Okay, thank you.
Can comment further. Okay, now that's the last comment. Let me review the answer. Okay, why it's not working? The teaching track. Okay, so any comment?
Dr. Saiful, what is the teaching track?
Why is teaching track?
I put research.
No, because it's 10 hours per week. I think some will have, even a research track also will have around that, right? Plus lab.
Okay. So why? Yeah, before I give my opinions, why is teaching track? What do you think? From your analysis, from what you have discussed just now, why teaching track? Or maybe why not teaching track? Yeah, anyone for discussion?
I was just thinking probably you say that it's the chairperson of OBE committee and MSc program at the PTJ, but you know, a lot of us in the research track also, we have to be part of the committee of CDA, OBE or micro-credential.
Okay. Now, any other thoughts?
Think
Before maybe I...
because receive various academic awards. That means is a very good teacher.
Academic doesn't mean has to be teaching, right?
Okay. That's a good point. Okay, now let me put my thoughts when was okay. The first thing is the publication. If for the research track, the publication will be higher than 10 publication for you to apply. You know, you should have more than that. That is the first one. Why standard track? Standard track also you need to have more than 10 publication in total. Okay, so basically if those who know the criteria for the standard track and research track, so definitely the first point already give less possibility, less suitability for the candidate to choose standard track or research track by that alone. And then the other one is about 4 publication and corresponding author. You know, for research track and standard track, require more than 4 publication as corporate. You are nowhere with the publication as
I think the system is 5.
Yes. Yeah. So if you know that criteria, definitely, oh no. It's not going for standard track or research track because it's higher. And living with teaching track or leadership track. Now, let's go to the external grant. So basically, for both standard track, research track and teaching track, they require external grant. But you know, the requirement is a bit different because research track you have need to maybe more than one, but standard track only one. But for the teaching track, at least you are the lead institutional PI for the external grant. So basically, this can support teaching track, standard track, or research track. And basically, you know, that's the thing. Leadership tracks, yeah, maybe. You know, then teaching hours, yeah, definitely. For teaching track, you need to have minimum 10 hours per week. But for the standard track and research track, there is no just assessment. If you notice that for the traffic light, okay, you only require assessment time only. That's how many, and everybody passed. But no specific criteria for the teaching about 10 hours per week. That is only for the teaching track. And so on and so forth. So based on this, I can elaborate one by one, but never mind. But based on this, basically the most possible at this moment with all this information is a teaching track rather than the other track. Did you get the reason? I hope I make it clear. Okay. Clear enough? Why A? Mean that quiet mean agree.
Clear.
Silent mean agree, isn't it? So this is how we argue when we decide A is the best. Yes, the rest it can be, but with this situation, the best is candidate should apply for teaching track because the more elements of teaching track being met as compared to the other track. So that is the reason for A. Hopefully I make it clear. And definitely you can see the process of developing as well as deciding on the best answer for this type of question is challenging because we need to defend the whole information as well as why that particular answer is the best to the vetting committee. It's not
But
easy.
I just want to say that from this description, it doesn't show that this person is doing like extra teaching or what, because like 10 hours per week, that is common for everybody. But on research part, maybe this person doesn't achieve as good as others. Yeah.
But it met the minimum requirement for teaching track.
That means in general, the teaching track actually requirement is lower than the research track lah.
No, it's not lower. It's there are certain things that higher. There are certain things will be lower. But at the end, it will be equivalent because of different percentage. Because research track percentage more toward research. The teaching track is percentage more the teaching element. There are so many other teaching elements over there that I have not put it here. And then the standard track also there are certain percentage for that particular area. So basically, at the end, it will be balanced. There are certain things that is higher than research track. There are certain things, for example, that is lower than teaching track because of the percentage distribution will be different, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay, got it? It's not about high or low, but basically different level of percentage distributions according to the M1 to M5. That's make things really looks lower, looks higher, but at the end it's about 100%. Okay, got it?
Betul Saiful, sorry.
Yes.
So maknanya going back to this question, there is still one definite answer, right? Because
No.
Huh?
The
No,
best answer.
Okay, betul. But I mean, if let's say my answer is other than A, so I can choose either B, C, and D as well, right? But in
Yes.
terms of the marks, am I getting any marks if I put other than A?
No.
Okay. So
We only give mark to the answer.
Okay. Meaning the best answer, still the best
Yeah.
answer belongs to the lecturer lah kan? I mean, decided by the lecturer lah, betul?
Yeah.
Okay. So meaning from the student perspective, maknanya still choosing the best answer, but still there is no element of guessing, right?
Because maybe they misconcept about the criteria, misunderstanding. Maybe they have they miss certain important elements in the criteria that they are not aware of.
Okay.
That kind of information that we can get from this question, if we can see that, for example, most of the student answer C. So it means that, maybe something wrong with our teaching, because maybe something wrong with their understanding. or maybe there are certain things that are not clearly mentioned when we were teaching them. So there are many info. Let's give back to the lecturers to think why most of the students get B as the answer rather than A examples. So we need to think again as a lecturer. Maybe we need to modify our our approach of teaching. Maybe the content of the teaching is not really giving the clear demarcation between all these elements within that category and many more. Let's be informed back to us to improve.
That's right. I do agree with you because from just a short discussion just now, so we can see there are different opinions, right, about this question. I totally agree with you. So just my one last comment, yeah. So meaning that because this question just now you mentioned is a C4 level analysis, right? So it's very true to the cognitive level, right? Because like you mentioned just now, in order for the student to be able to analyze this question, and then they have to know what are the four tracks lah, right?
Yeah.
Then they have to understand. Then they have to. They do require prior knowledge, quite deep prior knowledge, right? Before they can come out with the analysis you have done just now.
Yes.
So my comment is it is a good. It's a good way of assessing our student lah. Because from this one question, although just one question, but the process required quite a lot. I mean, in terms of learning, eh?
Yeah.
So that's my feedback. Because even for ourselves, when we try to this question also just now we try to attempt this question, it do require you to think, oh, what do I know about teaching? What do I know about leadership? What do I know about the research track, right? Yeah, then only we can give the best answer lah. That's my comment lah for this type of question. Okay, thank you.
And then this type of question is very good for the student at the higher learning phase, at the study phase, not first year, second year, but maybe in the third, fourth, or maybe later years, for them to not only apply into this new situation. This is a new situation for them, but they required a lot of analysis in order for them to make decision.
Yeah, just one last question, but this one very general because I keep hearing people refers to year of study, right? Year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, right?
Yes.
Because
yes.
but the thing is because I'm from pharmacy school, and then I think we did ask you this question, yeah, from when you conducted our workshop, and so but the thing is our pharmacy school because there are certain courses that although it is being taught in year 2 and year 1 and year 2, but the level is a bit high. I mean, sometimes there are maybe an element of C3 there.
Yeah.
But they are yet maybe in year 2. So in this question, I mean, just now you mentioned maybe higher level of question may be suitable for year 3 and year 4, right? But then is it a kind of a rigid guideline like that?
No. That is something that is common, when we put year 1, year 2, 3. But basically, just like medical as well, since year 1, we already test them SBA. Since year 1, we already give them this kind of question for them to respond for our medical students. Can you imagine that? Because of the requirement in terms of the competency. So that's why if you're looking back to the constructive alignment, so whatever the question, whatever the format, it must be based on, or maybe must be relevant to the learning outcome that we want to assess students. So if let's say your year 1, the learning outcome is about analysis, then this is the best format for us to assess the student. So it's basically back to your learning outcome and how do you match the learning outcome with the suitable format of objective assessment item. Yeah.
Okay, but the thing is when our school been audited by our internal kan, I mean the OBE recently, the auditors keep on this. I mean keep on targeting these issues, meaning that this cost is too high. I mean for year 1 and year 2. So how is best to explain to the auditor about these issues? That's the challenge because it has been common issues when people assessing our curriculum.
Yeah, I think the best is to to give reason, just like I mentioned just now, because the requirement for this particular course is above than the common or the usual course. So you can say this learning outcome is C3 C4. So even though it's commonly at the not at the lower level of study phase is usually C1, C2 or C3, but because of our courses require more. So that's why we have to ensure the alignment between the competency that we expected from even for year one student with the assessment format. So it's aligned and we assess what we should assess for that particular level of competency. I think that will be a very reasonable answer. Otherwise, if the auditor is not accepting, we need to train the auditor again.
Itulah.
Definitely.
Okay, okay. In a polite way to say there. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Dr. Saiful.
Yeah, I think auditor must be aware of the constructive alignment. For the OBE, the most important is constructive alignment. If the program already set at that particular level, and definitely the assessment must follow, because we need to verify the evidence of learning attainment at that particular level that has been agreed and approved by the Senate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, thank you. Yes, let's go to the next group 8. Ready? Okay, so so this one. Yes, group number 8. What are your findings?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Dr. Saiful, we put as the C4 and using the OBA.
Okay.
One best answer.
So it's OBA. Okay. Why OBA?
Because when we read that it's only one best answer, right? Cannot be from other answer.
Okay, okay.
Based on the selection given.
Okay, so your group decide this is OBA, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, because 8 and 9 is together. So let's listen to group number 9. So what's your finding?
Actually, we answer both, but never mind, it's okay. You put as
Don't worry. We give group 9 to speak something. Group 9, yes. Where are you, group 9? Group 9? Anyone from group 9?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Yes, good.
For us, I think it's more on the extended matching item.
Okay, EMQ.
That's what we discussed previously, because we have more informations and we have to match to the choices available. So yeah, for us, I think it's more on a standard matching item.
So extended matching questions. So what group 8 said OBA. Okay, so let's listen to other group. So yes, other group, what your findings were or are? Yes, any other group? Extended matching. Okay, extended matching. Okay. So the rest of group support 9. So far, none of the group I saw support OBA. Group 8, would you like to defend yourself? Group 8? Group 8, are you there? Oh, my connection problem.
Yes, I'm from group 8 also.
Sorry.
Same with Dr. Lee. Actually, that time we chose OB for myself because just now I overload the OMQ.
Oh, EMQ.
Yeah, EMQ. So for myself, but I don't know others member. So that time when we decided we accept the one best answer, that time I overload the extended lah.
Okay, so now you change your mind?
Actually, before you ask, I go and have a look. I already have my answer. I changed my mind. Sorry.
No, I think that's okay because you know what? Basically, extended matching question is the upside down of OBA. It's the reverse, upside down. You can see that the way we put is like OBA, but it's a matter of the extension of the options with certain teams. So you can see that this is upside down version of OBA. If you notice that OBA, you have one scenario, we call it triggers, the stem, and then you have a few options. But this one is the combination of OBA basically under the same theme that we can ask the students. Am I making you clearer or more confused?
Kurang faham sikit, Dr. Saiful.
If you notice, 8 and 9, if you transform into OBA, you can do 2 OBAs, basically.
Oh, with the A to H as the options of the answers.
Yes, you can, basically you have 2 OBAs here.
Okay.
Usually, but why the people invented EMQ? Because they believe that EMQ will give less guessing bias. It will reduce the guessing bias because you have more options. You have more things to decide, and you have more things to choose. So that's why they created the EMQ, just to increase the ability of the question to test the cognitive 3 and 4. So that's because people say that if you go for OBA, you only have 5 options, and the 5 options usually they believe will give more guessing bias as compared to EM. You have 8 options. So this is a kind of belief that they have. But in reality, if you're looking at the literature and evidence, they do a simulation study on the guessing effects by MCQ, regardless of MCQ, basically in a way that they say that the guessing effect is almost negligible if we develop the question properly. It's not easy. For example, for OBA just now, if they do not have good understanding about the content as well as the whole principles, the students who have a misconception definitely will be attracted to choose the wrong answer rather than the best answer. The least best answer as compared to the best answer. So they argue that that's the way we construct rather than the effects of guessing bias in getting the answer correct. So I think there's a lot of argument within the scholars in the assessment, but at the end of the day, more evidence showing that in the MCQ, for example, the OPA or extended matching, if you created the questions properly according to the guideline, usually the guessing bias is almost negligible, less than 1%. They put a simulation, and we are able to really test a poor and good student. The good student will be able to get the best answer. The poor student with a poor understanding, poor analysis ability, and so on and so forth, will distracted by the other options, who is not the best. So there is the kind of argument about all this assessment in terms of the objective items assessment. Is that clear? So now let's move to the last but not least. I think majority of you said you are not aware of that, the SCT, Okay, so
sorry to Saiful. About the guessing bias tadi tu, because you were saying maknanya kalau 5 option as compared to 8 option ni, then the 8 option has less guessing bias, right?
Yeah.
But then for me there is no difference pun, because for me kalau you have either 5 or 8 option, you still can guess, right? Yeah. But then you have more to guess. So how what do you mean by more option, less guessing bias though?
No, I think that is the thinking why they created all this, OBA and extended matching. But the recent evidence said there is no difference. The latest evidence said there is no difference. It depending on how we construct our questions is far more important. If we construct properly, so the guessing effects, the guessing fires will be much reduced. And in fact, it's very difficult for students to guess the best answer when we properly construct the questions. So that is the latest the latest thinking and evidence about the guessing bias in MCQ, particularly this format OBE and AMQ. That's what I mean. I'm with you. I think as long as the options and the selectors are good, it's very difficult for students to get the answer unless they really understand the content as well as the knowledge that they have learned before. Now, yes, group number 10. Group number 10.
Group number 10.
Yeah.
SCT.
SCT.
Yeah.
Script concordant test.
Yeah. Don't ask me why, because we never encountered this type of question. Tak pernah, saya tak, me myself tak pernah buat lah. Tak pernah develop this or formulate this type of question. So baru nak belajar.
Okay. So what do you think? Your opinion when you encounter this kind of question, you have answered this question, and then you're reviewing the guidelines, and then you identify this SCT. So what do you think? This kind of question is suitable, or maybe it's too, it's too difficult, or what? Would you like to share anything?
Maybe if we can use it for even for final year or higher ticket order lah. The physics suitable lah. Sorry, nak kena.
Okay. So you think that it's suitable, but it will be at different level of student, isn't it? Yes. How about others? Like a skill format. Yes. Any other thoughts from other group members? What do you think? This format.
Pandangan saya, Dr. Prof. Saiful.
Oh yes,
Saya pun baru juga. Saya pun berapa puluh tahun jadi pensyarah ni pun ni first time tengok ni, mungkin atas kejahilan lah. Tapi apa pun bila tengok ni kan, kalau saya letak diri saya sebagai pelajar, tengok soalan ni pun dah pening lah. Belum konten lagi. Itu saya rasa memang mencabarlah kalau macam ni. Banyak nombor kan. Kalau macam kita tengok kolom kanan tu, dia ada 4 Likert scale macam kawan kita kata tu kan, negatif 2 sampai 2 kan. Lepas tu nak baca pula bawah dia tu kan, negatif 2 tu apa maksud kan. Daripada macam seolah-olah macam nak jawab survey kan. Jadi memang mencabarlah soalan ni. Bukan setakat the content tu, dia punya format tu pun dah mencabar pelajar lah tu. Itu saya punya pandangan lah. Kalau saya jadi student, memang bungkus awal lah.
Kalau jadi lecturer?
Kalau jadi lecturer, vetting is going to be nightmare lah. Masa vetting. Memang nightmare lah. It is a nightmare for team yang buat vetting. Yang buat vetting tu akan nightmare. Saya rasa pensyarah yang akan buat soalan ni pun memang mencabar ni. Nak bersiap satu soalan ni pun saya rasanya akan ambil masa yang agak signifikan jugalah. To come up with a good apa kata? Segala aspek lah yang terbaik kan. Mencabar lah soalan ni. All aspect lah, bukan setakat pelajar je. I think for pensyarah jugalah. Betul lah tu. It's very challenging.
It's very challenging. Okay, thank you for. Wow, okay, interesting. Okay. First time also, C5, need to compare between method and then decide. Okay. Okay, so basically the script concordant is used in in the medical exam, particularly in US and Europe. Why? Because they want to see the C5 and above. And they are aiming for the reasoning. Basically, this question is reasoning, and particularly in the clinical reasoning. Okay, so that's why they put, if you were thinking, they give a scenario as usual, but if you were thinking of method, it means that the student think about in that interview in their mind, but and then they find that, you find that participants are too many and have limited time. So what will be this method? Will be likelihood in terms of -2 to 2. Okay, so definitely I do agree with Dr. Falikame just now. Even to develop this one is also nightmare. I must admit that. But looking at the research as well as evidence, so far there is something that's really a good tool to differentiate students with the higher order thinking, particularly the reasoning skill, for them to choose. Because even to develop the rubric, they have a different way of scoring. I will show you afterward. If you answer -2, -1, they will give you a different score depending on your answer. Okay, and then this require a lot of thinking and then a lot of analysis, and really need to have a very good understanding about the subject, the principles, and the ability of the student not only to apply but to analyze, but to make evaluation of all the possibility. So let me share you with the scoring. These are the scoring. Can you see that? It is not a normal scoring. You can still get answer even though you choose a least, the least correct, but you get less mark, 0.25. And the best one is -1, 0.75. And all the decisions is made by the expert, team of expert. It's not an individual effort, the team of expert. For example, let's say we have 5 team of experts. So the expert will be given these questions, and then what will be the expert answer? So based on that ratio, so it will come with all this, usually per one, the distribution based on the expert answer. Because why? Because they really tap on the reasoning of the experts in the field. If the student able to get the same answer as the expert, they will give the best mark. So 0 point mean that 75% of the experts say this one, and only 25% of the experts choose this one, and none of the experts choose 0, 1, 2. That's what it means by this scoring, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can see. For example, World Cafe, half of the experts say 1, half the experts say 2. So basically, if the student choose 1 or 2, they will get 0.5. And the total mark is the based on the highest, 0.05, 75, 0.5, 75, and 5. So basically, the maximum score here is about 3. The total score will be 3. So if you want to convert to, for example, let's say you give this question 5 marks, so over 3. You mean that the total over 3 multiplied by 5, that will the mark that will be given to the students based on the answer. Sounds interesting or confusing? Tahu nak cerita macam mana rahaya ni. Okay, but it's kind of exposure. Interesting.
Interesting but still confusing. But it's very interesting.
It is a new way. Is this available in e-learning? No, it's not available in the e-learning. No.
Doktor, so kalau macam kita guna this kind of question, so meaning kita macam measuring the degree of accuracy juga ada tak?
Yes. Basically that is the main aim. As the expert thinking, the reasoning, as the experts thinking.
But I think if I were the student, I will argue about this question lah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Because there is no definite answer for this.
But definitely you cannot argue with the expert, because team of expert, giving the answer. So definitely student can argue with the expert, but they can always give feedback.
So meaning to say, Dr. Saiful, you were saying about expert tadi kan, on to test the expertise, right? I mean, among so maknanya what kind of level ni this one suitable for, undergraduate or postgraduate? This kind of
If you are looking at the US and Europe, they start introducing at the undergraduate level for the medical. Yeah.
So other than medical or dentistry?
I don't see any.
Oh, okay, so is it suitable for other than those, I mean, medical or dentistry? Because medicine and dentistry is about similar kind of assessment. But other than that, because of the higher, I mean, yeah, in terms of the dealing with the life and so on. So
I haven't seen in other context like in the literature, because it was started from the medical and then go to maybe the health professions, programs. And then I'm not really sure about other, but from what I see from the review and other evidence, looks like is more toward the the health side. Yeah.
So for other than health, okay lah, we are safe lah.
Yeah, but this one is just exposure to everyone. At least you got something new lah today. Even though it's confusing, but something new. And regarding the full mark, yes, the student can go get full mark because remember I mentioned just now, the full mark for in-depth interview is 0.75. So you just add on with 0.5 and then 0.75. So basically, if you add up, the full mark here is 3. No, the full mark is 3. The student can get 3/3. Can get if they answer this one -1. 0 or 0, 1, or this one 2, and this one 2 or 1. So basically, the full mark for this question is 3. But in terms of conversion, because sometimes you give already certain allocated mark for this kind of question. For example, let's say this question contribute 5 marks. So out of that 3, so you just, if the student get 3/3, it means that they get full mark, isn't it? 5 marks. But if you get 2/3, just 2/3 multiplied by 5, then the student will get somehow about less than 5 marks, maybe about 3 something. There's only conversion of the full mark to your allocated mark.
Dr. Saiful, rasanya markah dia ni 4 rasanya.
4 ke?
Ataupun
4 sorry.
Ataupun 2.5.
7.5, 7.5, 1.5, 4 3, full mark 3. 3. Full mark 3 kan?
2.5.
75, 1.5.
Ya.
2.5, sorry.
Patut tambah satu lagi,
2.5 kalau ikut total tu.
Sorry, 2.5. Oh, saya bersilap kira 2.5, sorry, 2.5. Sorry lah.
2.5.
2.5 dia punya apa denominator dia 2.5. The maximum dia dapat dari sini.
They have 4 apa tu, macam kalau kita tengok kat method tu, if you were thinking of method, in-depth interview, observation, focus group discussion, world cafe, kalau kita tengok secara horizontal, setiap satu in-depth interview for example tu satu row tu, kalau kita jumlahkan markah dia tu is 1 kan, 0.25 campur 0.75 is 1.
Tak. Dia consider bila total mark, the maximum mark yang student boleh dapat. Maksimum dia 0.75 je.
Okey. Ambil 0.75, ambil satu yang maksimum sahaja.
Yeah. This is the maximum. They cannot answer 2. Just only 1.
Okay, sebab student hanya ambil satu jawapan. Hanya pilih satu jawapan.
Yeah. So kalau setiap row ni dia pilih je semua yang tinggi-tinggi, memang full mark lah dia dapat.
Which is 2.5 lah.
2.5 lah. Then you need to convert lah to the allocated mark that already set for that question kan.
Mana tu siapa soalan ni pun ada element of one best answer OBA
All the elements lah.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay.
Okay, can we have a 5-minute break for a while? Because I have can we have a 5-minute break for a while?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
5-minute break.
Yes.
5-minute break, Okay, we meet after 5 minutes. Okay, welcome back. We had a short break just now. Okay. Yeah, any questions at this moment before I proceed?
Prof, I just want to observe that this question number 10, in particular, the content is actually more suited, is directed to the social sciences or to education, which means this type of this sort of question can be applied outside of the medical disciplines.
Yes, yes, yes. Because we used to in medical discipline, but I trying to make this in beyond, outside the medical, so that you can see this example from non-medical. So this kind of social science, arts, humanities. I think that can be done. Can be done. Based on the question, what would be the expected duration allocated for student to answer? Okay. Usually, in general, we allocate students about if let's say we put a OBA as the benchmark, is basically 1.5 to 3 minutes, per question. 1.5 to 3 minutes in general. Okay, in general. And for this type of question, I think the student required the maximum recommended time, mean that the 3 minutes. 3 minutes. So that's something that I can respond on the questions. Is that, do you think 3 minutes difficult for the student to get the answer for these questions? And based on your experience just now, what do you think? 3 minutes, is it adequate or you need more?
I think 3 minutes, okay.
You think 3 minutes, because usually we give the maximum 1.5 to 3 minutes, so we give maximum for this kind of questions, 3 minutes.
Tapi Dr. Saiful, go back to the maximum time tu. How do you decide maximum time is 3 minutes? Is it based on the question type?
Usually the recommendation was based on the simulation. So because they ask certain group of people to answer what will be the minimum, what will be the maximum, and particularly with the scenario based, we call it the scenario based objective assessment. So they got it at the range is 1.5 to 3. So that is something that mostly recommended by many many textbook lah, basically 1.5 to 3 minutes.
So meaning to say, maknanya for all the so far we have done few types of objective kan assessment question. So meaning to say, like for example, true false, there are certain guidelines to say how long, MTF how long, OCA how long.
Yes.
How can we where can we get that kind of guidelines? Because
The book that I refer usually the simplest book from one of the caption that I shared with you in the guideline. The book mentioned 1.5 to 3 minutes.
Oh, mana in terms of Malaysian education system, kalau MQA ke, do they have guideline on this? I mean the duration for each question? Because for me, because I've been teaching for a few years pun, and all this while I've been using 1 mark, maybe 1 minute duration, and also looking at because there are also question from Dr. Yap also. The same question like me. Is it based on the type of question or cognitive level? So if you can bagi pencerahan lagi bagus. Thank you on that. Thank you.
Okay, usually from the MQA, I'm not aware of any guideline about 1.5 to 3 minutes. I do not see any specific guideline on that from the MQA, but usually they refer to the recommended guideline from the textbook, 1.5 to 3 minutes. So I think most of in PPSP we referring to that lah, basically 1.5 to 3 minutes based on that textbook guideline. And then if you are looking at the reason behind the time is basically one, if for student to read and to understand the instruction. So one, and then the second part is for the student to process the information. If you give the students the types like OBA, EMQ, and then you put like script concordance because they have to analyze the information given. So I mean that it's require more time. And then to make selection and to make judgment on the on the answer. So basically there are three different processes required. If you're looking at true false, they do not require much time, the classical true false. So usually it's about the maximum we can give is 1 minute, but 1 minute is also too much. Usually they give half of it for the classical true false. But when you go for multiple true false, because there are 5 options, the 5 option, and usually we give for each option is about about 20 seconds to 30 seconds for the response, so that you can go for 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes for the multiple true false with 5 options just now. So usually, but in PPSP we use only 2 minutes. We get the minimum because that is so far so good with our students. 2 minutes with that kind of multiple choice. And then for the SBA, because the amount of thinking process is required, so you give them about 2 minutes as well, even though they only need to choose one best answer, but the processing part of the information required more. So we give 2 minutes per OBA. But for the script concordance, so far we have not yet implemented in USM Medical School, and even in any medical school in Malaysia. But from other practice, they give the maximum time, which is usually 3 minutes. So because of the processing of the information, yeah.
Okay.
Do
Yeah,
I answer
sorry,
your questions?
yes. Can you repeat again the 3 processes just now? Time to read and understand the question, time to analyze the question,
Read and
time
to
to decide.
understand,
Okay.
and then to analyze the information because they need to analyze, and then at the end to
Information in
make the judgment for the selecting the best answer. So these are 3 things required for this kind of questions. So that's quite a lot, And 3 minutes definitely only competent student, a good student, not competent. It means that the student has been trained enough for them to be able to reach that level in order for them to answer the questions.
Okay, thank you.
That's why in assessment, one of the important guideline is we need to ensure that every students are familiar with the format of assessment. That is very important. One of the principles in in the assessment that mentioned the student must be familiar with the format of assessment before they were assessed. They are assessed with that particular format. That's why you need to do some, briefing to the student. Sometimes they give, for example, if you are introducing a new assessment method, you need to have a kind of mock assessment so that they know how to answer, what's the formats, what are the required time, and what are the process of answering those questions before they were given the real assessment on the examination day. Yeah. I think that is quite important if you are not thinking about introducing something new in the assessment, even for MCQ.
So meaning
Okay,
to
yes.
say, Dr. Saiful, maknanya tadi assessment type tu including the question type, yeah?
Yes, assessment type, question type, yeah, definitely.
Oh, so meaning that the student, to be fair to the student must be, I mean, have some
Familiar.
experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So familiar tu, how do you define familiar? Is it 1 time is enough, or 2 times or 3 times? For
Usually,
example, sorry, question number 10 ni, I myself not familiar first time, so a
yeah.
bit struggle also to understand.
Yes,
What actually,
yes.
again, it's not about what the question asks you. It's the format of the question first, kan? So a bit struggling just now. Then
Yes.
only when you start to understand, then only you look at the content, kan, of the context of the question. So totally agree with you lah. So going back to the definition tadi, how many times you define as familiar tu?
At least once lah. At least once for the whole life. At least they know that they understand and they're familiar with all this. They have experienced it, just like you experience now. At least.
Thank you.
That is important of the formative assessment. You can always tap on the formative assessment when you are introducing new assessment tools. Yeah. Okay. Okay, now can I move to the next slide?
Nak tanya satu soalan. Boleh?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, like for ICT ni lah kan, let's say kalau kita nak buat dalam e-learn, maksudnya macam sebab everything online kan. So macam format mana yang untuk question yang sesuai masukkan. Sebab kita nak choose kan, macam ada yang support ke saya sebab saya tak family sangat. Sebab everything online kan contoh. Kau ada siapa expert boleh.
E-learn saya pun biasa guna untuk yang buat MCQ dan e-learn tu, cuma tak sekarang ni bila nak match dengan format ni, mungkin ni lah, mungkin buat style macam batching tu kan, batching. Cumanya kena letak kat situ apa dia punya arahan, letak dalam macam upload kan dalam bentuk macam dalam bentuk picture ke kan, suruh dia tengok semua. Kemudian dekat matching tu soalan satu sebelah, dan satu lagi tu suruh dia pilih -1 ke, -2 ke, -3 ke, -0, 1, 2, 3, so match. Macam tu lah kot.
Okay, thanks. Okay, baik.
Ya, saya nampak kat situ tapi saya tak pernah cuba lah sebab kita tak pernah guna kan concordance ni.
Okay, just macam put lah kan, tapi nak develop pun rasa macam tak tahu berapa hari boleh siap soalannya.
Ini selalunya kalau saya buat training untuk NCT ni at least paruh hari, sebab dia nak faham prinsip, dia kena faham dia punya apa kaedah dia, macam mana develop, blueprint lagi dan sebagainya lah, banyak macam jugalah. Apa lah, tu next time lah kita ada webinar lagi untuk hands on benda-benda macam ni kan. Okay, boleh saya move kot, dah 12 suku, dah sekejap je masa, ada lagi banyak benda nak cerita ni. Nope, saya punya slide tak bergerak ni. Okay, so kita nak, let's refresh. This is something that we have done together. Okay, from C1, C2, and then I think you have already experienced it on yourself, and then you have reviewed it, and you have discussed about each of this element. I hope that now you can see that the logic behind the classification of each objective assessment with the C1 until C6. So because of the requirement for the student to process cognitively of those assessment tasks that we give in the objective manner. Okay, I hope you can appreciate that. My plan is basically to allow you to construct, but the time is already 12:20, and then I was told that 12:30 I should stop. So how? It's a lot of discussion. That's quite interesting. Okay. So what do you all think? Okay. So everyone speechless. Silent means we continue. Okay, so let's continue. So basically my plan is for you to construct a few questions, but maybe I skip that because we already discussed this. My plan, basically you construct, and then after you construct, we review your the test item, and then we reflect. But because of the time, I think maybe we can just continue with the next thing, because in a way that I believe you know how to construct already. There's a method of hands-on, you can hands-on on your own afterward. And then in terms of review, it's about weighting. Weighting, you can always use the guidelines that I give it to you, because the guideline is already I summarized in one document, so they can always use. You can refer to the reference if you want to read further. And then reflect, I think we have already reflected a lot based on the Q1 until Q10. I think maybe we can skip this group class. This something. Okay, now I would like to share with you, because MCQ, okay, for every MCQ, basically we can do item analysis. Okay, so because the reason for item analysis is to see one is the difficulty level of the questions, And then the other two is about how discriminative of our question to discriminate between good student and poor student. So this is item analysis, and in the item analysis, as I mentioned, there will be two indicators. So one indicator is discrimination index, and the other indication is difficulty index. Okay, at this junction, how many of you have ever had experience about analyzing the quality of the items, I mean that the MCQ at least, based on the discrimination index and difficulty index? How many of you? Let's see, how many? Do you have any experience dealing with these two indicators? No experience? No, not sure. No, not sure. Okay, okay. No, no. Okay. So that's quite that's quite informative. Say that majority maybe this is the first. Okay. Okay. Let's say the majority said yes, this is something that new. Okay. So basically, let me illustrate a little bit about the concept of discrimination index and difficulty index in the next slide. Okay. So okay, so discrimination index. Let's start with discrimination index. So basically, okay, so this discrimination index. Usually, when we do analysis of discrimination index, we will rank the student performance from the top performer and with the bottom. I mean that the least the performance. So basically, we put the highest and the lowest in terms of the ranking based on the total mark for that particular assessment. For example, let's say we took the MCQ, multiple choice question. Okay, we have 100 students. Okay, we have 100 students who took the examination, and we rank them from the highest score to the lowest score in terms of the total score. Okay, let's say you have 50 questions. Okay, 50 questions of MCQ, and then you got the maximum mark will be, for example, 100, and then the minimum mark will be the 0. So basically 0 to 100, and then we rank them. So after we rank them, highest to the lowest, we take top 27%. It means that 27 students at the top performer. So those top performers at 27 we took the group, and then the lowest 27 we took. So based on this, okay, based on these two groups, the top and the we call it a lower and upper. We call it a lower and upper group. Okay, so we compare the performance. Okay, we compare the upper group to the lower group. Okay, and then when we compare, we divide by the 27, because let's say 100 students, so the denominator is about 27. So how many of the students able to get the answer correct? Okay, and how many of the students at the lower level able to get the answer correct? So based on this, we just minus. I mean that the top performer, let's say, out of 27 students, 25 students able to get the answer correct for that particular questions. And then at the bottom, so basically about 5 students able to get the answer correct. Okay, let me put, where is the annotation? Okay, so basically now, so this one, the n is 27. I'm not using pen, so mouse is a bit difficult. See, this is the total number student, because 27% out of 200 students is basically 27. So denominator is 27. Okay, so out of 27, so let's say question A, for example, let's reflect back to our the teaching track question, teaching track question just now. Okay, let's say out of 27, okay, 25 get correct. Oh, sorry for the alignment. Okay, and then minus with, because same denominator. Okay, because this is the upper, this is the lower. So the lower will be just now 5, only 5. Oh, only 5 student able. So it means that the upper group, okay, students at the upper group getting in terms of frequency is more as compared to the lower group. So because of denominator is similar, so basically we just put here 27. Okay, and then 25. Oh, I need to buy pen. It's very difficult to use mouse. Okay. That is just mathematics. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so 25 minus 20, because the formula is you just need to minus those performance and this below performance, 25 minus 5, so that 20 over 27. And if you convert into proportion, is about ada siapa-siapa boleh tolong calculate tak? 20 bagi 27 berapa? Anyone can help me? 20 divided by 27 is about what?
74%.
Okay, 0.74. Oh, where is my titik? This one. Wah, difficult lah CDE. Please buy me pen. Okay, 74. Okay, so what does it mean? It means that the discrepancy of the performance between the upper group and lower group is 75%. That's what it indicates. It means that there is a huge difference between different in performance between the top students and the bottom students. So if we got this kind of figures, we can say that the question is discriminative because the index is 0.74. Clear enough? Any questions?
So Dr. Saiful, so is it good or not good?
Very good, because you can differentiate between poor and poor student and good student.
Oh, so the closer to 1, the better.
Yes, one immediate 100%.
Minimum mana yang after lower than that not good. So
Otherwise, you can get minus 100.
minus 100 maknanya
I mean
no
that
different.
100% of the lower student, poor student got the answer correct, and the 100% of the top student got answer correct, wrong. Sorry, answer wrong. That's indicate you need to check their key answer. Something wrong.
Oh, kalau zero values maknanya no different, no good.
No different. Yeah, no different.
So what is
It's
the
not
minimum?
discriminating.
What is the minimum DI values?
Afterward, I will show you
Okay,
the formula, how to classify your item into, class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, based on the specific index and difficulty index.
Thank you.
Afterward, okay, afterward. The concept is clear? I think it's quite easy, isn't it? Okay, so let's move to the next one, okay? I need to stop annotate how to stop. Okay, this one. Okay. Let's go. Okay. So this difficulty index. Okay. Difficulty index is very easy as compared to the previous one. Proportion of candidates who get the item right in decimal or percentage. So basically, it's proportion of the students get the answer correct. For example, let's go. Example, let's say we still use the teaching track just now, questions, okay? Out of 100 students, what if the result distribution is skewed? Do you mean for the discrimination index? For discrimination index, we do not worry about the result skewed, because we just take the top 27% and the bottom 27%. So definitely, we are not so worried about the skewness of the data, okay? Because we are comparing two groups that we classify based on top 27% and bottom 27%. Why not 25? I don't know, because that was method by Ebel. One of the inventor for the method is Ebel, was Ebel. So basically, suddenly the method was 37% above and 27, but I believe it's about, remember, if you do statistic, if you do the statistic, the normal distributions, and then always in the middle is 64, and then something that beyond that 2 decimal is about I think 27%, something like that. I believe that's related to that distribution. But in our practice in medical school, for the purpose of to make it easier, we use 30%. You modify to 30%. You can modify to 25% if that's that's something that applicable to you. So we make some modification, but the concept is just to differentiate between the top student and the bottom student. That is the concept. The percent you can decide, but the recommended one based on the original formula is 27%. But in our practice, we modify into 30% because it's easier for us to calculate. Okay. Okay, that's okay. You can learn afterward. Okay, difficulty index, something that's very easy. How many students get answer correct? So for example, let's say you have 100 students who attempt, and then for example, 60 of the students get the answer correct. So it means that this is the proportion, 0.6. As easy as that. That is only proportion of the student to get the correct answer. Okay, so if let's say 60 students, 60%, okay, 60% of the students able to get the answer correct if 0.6. Okay, so now how are we going to use this? So this is the most important part. Okay, but this one is not so important. This one important. Okay, so using item analysis to classify your item into grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4. There is a recommendation from the books that I cited here. So basically, if any of usually in terms of in general practice, the acceptable difficulty index is 0.2 to 0.8. This is acceptable. Okay, if anything more than 0.8, it means that more than 80% of the student able to get answer correct. It means that we consider that's easy. Okay, easy. But if let's say less than 20% of students able to get answer correct, it means that the question is rather difficult. Okay, it's rather difficult. So basically 0.2 to 0.8 is the acceptable range of difficulty index. And how about the discrimination index? Acceptable would be the minimum is 0.2 and above. Because which one, which item that we want to put in our bank item? No voice? Wait. Can you listen to me now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, maybe it's something wrong with my internet connection. Maybe it's too long. Okay, so please bear a bit more. Okay, now if you are looking at the level 1, level 1 is the best item that you can put in your bank item. Okay, how do we define? Based on the item difficulty, the range must be 0.045 to 0.75 and discrimination index more than 0.2. So these are the grade 1 item if you want to consider into your bank. Okay, but for the grade 2, which is level 2, okay, 0.676 to 0.91, but the item discrimination must be more than 0.15. So easy, but this is recommended to use sparingly in your exam. This one also, you can consider to revise. Level 3 and level 4 is something that we're trying not to put in our bank, and usually we like to look at the question again, and maybe revision is required in the condition that item difficulty is 0.25 to 0.44 and discrimination index is about plus 0.010 or higher. So usually this is considered as difficult questions, and definitely you need to use sparingly as well, similar to level 2. But level 4 is something that you need to avoid, and you need to revise, or maybe you need to create a new question if this happens. For example, here, either it's less than 0.24 or more than 0.91 and no discriminations, any discrimination other than above. Okay, do we do this for each question? Usually, if you are using the machine, are you using the OMR? I think similar, isn't it? There will be a report. There will be a report out of the OMR, and the report usually include difficulty index and discrimination index. Okay, you can always go through that report, and usually we can select, okay, this one level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 question, so that we can see which one is which one is good for us to keep in the bank, which one good to be revised, and which one we need to consider to discard, or maybe we really need to see how to improve those items further. Okay, usually in the analysis of your OMR machine, maybe you can request from the academic office if you want. And then, okay, how is related with the number of the items? Okay, this is based on this book as well. So if you are deciding in terms of, usually people ask how many questions, okay? And if, let's say your discrimination index 0.3, it means that you choose all the questions with minimum of 0.3, usually you can just fit to 50 to 60 items. That is a good enough for that particular exam of no objective. But if you choose for 0.2 and above, mixed up, and then usually you are recommended to have about 100 items, immediate objective items, because based on their study, it showed that after 100 items, the reliability of those items become plateau. It's not contributing to the reliability of your assessment when you go beyond than 100 items with this discrimination index 0.3 or 0.2. So that's the reasons. Okay, that's the reason behind that. Yeah, at this junction, any questions? You need to combine both difficulty index and discrimination index. It must be in tandem, because we need to decide the classification of the item, grade 1 until grade 4. Okay, don't worry, I will give this slide to you to for further digestion. I know it is quite new to you, and definitely it's kind of exposure so that you know that there are certain way that we can see the quality of our objective item assessment. Okay, yes, definitely you can take higher. This is a minimum. Okay, this is the minimum. You can higher is always good to have higher discrimination index, because it's really good item to discriminate between poor and good students. Best range here, 0.2 and above for the discrimination index. Difficulty index 0.2 to 0.8. So this is acceptable range for us to consider. Okay, but if you want to be more specific, you can go for this item class level. It is more specific that they are required certain level of difficulty index and discrimination index for the item to be in that particular category. Okay. And then assessment blueprint, I think is very important because assessment blueprint will help us to see which topic, to which level, and to which objective items format. Okay, I'm sharing with you here, but definitely I'm not going to be detailed because quiet time is more exposure. So basically, there's a blueprinting process, and the blueprinting process is basically to generate the congruence between your subject matters with the course and what items that appear in the test. I mean that if let's say objective item, so what would be the items will be in your objective assessment. And this process will generate congruence between the competency expected, okay, competency expected to be acquired by the student. Remember the competency. So, and then what will be the possible items that able to assess those competency at the right level of cognitive, or maybe other psychomotor, or even for the affective. But we are talking about cognitive. So this is the thing that we are practicing in our setup. But maybe it's good to share because you can read the publication as well. So basically, how we do it is first we are thinking about which phase of study, because you still remember each of these questions, as you mentioned just now, maybe is suitable for the year 1, is suitable for maybe year 2, year 3, and even so on and so forth. Okay, just to decide for which item. And this is something that the course items. Okay, basically the blueprint is to help us to decide which assessment format suitable for any of the course content or learning outcome contents. So basically these examples that I'm giving you. So basically we are referring to the curriculum contents. So we just list out the curriculum content. Example here, we are giving GMT 104, that's the real subject in medical school. And then, usually we will classify each of these items into the impact and frequency. It means that the IF is not impact factor, but impact frequency. Okay, and then mode of delivery. Okay, and then based on the impact factor, we classify according this definition, and this definition and then the classification will be done by the experts. And for example here, how do we define the impact for this particular phase? Is impact mean that less important for the phase 2. Phase 2 is the clinical phase. Now this course is the phase 1, which is preclinical. And then 2 mean that important for phase 2. And then 3 is very important for the phase 2. So basically, we want to see how important of this subject, of this course, or maybe the specific content in relation to the next phase of study, mean that the clinical phase. So you can see that impact and then frequency, how is in terms of frequently used in the phase 2, rarely applied, commonly applied, and frequently applied in phase 2. So basically, you can see that these are the examples that we have in our course. So it means that 3/3 means 9. It means that when it comes to 3/3, it is super important topic. So we call it the core topic. The core topic must be able to be assessed in appropriately in certain format of assessment, and so on and so forth. And after we got that, okay, after we got that, we classify them into must know, should know, and nice to know based on the IF values. So what we decide 6 to 9 is the must know content. 3 to 4 is should know content, and 1 to 2 is nice to know. And you remember, you can see that we are using multiple true false. Multiple true false. This one is the essay, and this one is the clinical. Multiple true false. You can see clearly that 13 out of 20 is about 60% is from must know area, and the format is multiple true false. It means that we are assessing C1 and C2 as the junction. So it means that the format is C1, C2, because we already set at that particular level of learning outcome. Okay, and then after that, now we are mapping to a certain level. For example, multiple true false here is from this topic, classification and development of medically important fungi. So it means that these questions will be developed based on this topic, and the learning outcome will be at C1 and C2, recall and understand only. Okay, and so on so forth. You can see that the distribution of the questions that should be constructed according to multiple true false format. Okay, and if let's say you have any other learning outcome of a C3, C4, then you can choose for OBA or maybe EMQ. If you have higher, you can consider SCT as well, but depending on the learning outcome of your course. And then this one at the end, you get you get the whole total of questions for that particular. And then definitely we assign to lecturer who are in charge, and then the items developed and we discuss. And this one is cognitive domain verb, because remember just now one of you mentioned that how can we use certain verbs in our LO that help us to identify what sort of level the learning outcome in terms of cognitive. This is something that I can share with you. C1 remembering, this is the common terms in terms of verb terms. Choose, cite, define, describe, give example, and so on and so forth. Okay. Similarly, if you are looking at C2, explain, interpret, outline, discard, distinguish, predict, and so on and so forth. So these are the level that when you see in your learning outcome have this kind of verbs, so it means that it's C1, C2, and in your mind you can choose either multiple true false, one correct answer, or classical true false, fill in the blank, and even the matching best item. So if it's categorized in the C1 and C2 because it match well with the format of assessment for the objective. If you're looking higher, C3, so now is because it's using information in another familiar situation, which is application. So solve, show, use, illustrate, construct, complete, examine, classify, and so on and so forth. So I think this kind of verbs in your learning outcomes, as well as this verb for the analysis, analyzing, analyze, distinguish, examine, you can opt for OBA or maybe EMQ because it's a well matched with that format if you are aiming to assess this particular level that suit your learning outcome that have this kind of verb. Okay, and then for SCT, script concordant test, I think when you reach, when you reach this level C5 or C6, you use C5 lah. Judge, select, choose, decide, justify, and so on and so forth. I think this list of verbs you can have it once I share my PowerPoints afterward. And definitely the creating is the highest level. Create, invent, and so on and so forth. Okay, so basically, basically what the thing that I would like to convey here is assessment fit purpose. Whatever you want to assess, you need to know what the purpose, and the purpose usually we can refer to our learning outcomes of that particular subject. And blueprinting is very helpful, and is very helpful in our medical school And I think pharmacy school also developing the blueprint. If I can, I'm not really sure how it's progressing, but I believe something is doing related to the blueprinting, and maybe you might want to consider as well. Other schools might want to consider the best approach um, to go for blueprinting. Yes, GSU definitely, but blueprinting is more than GSU. I can say that blueprinting process is more than GSU. GSU is maybe one of the output of the blueprinting, but blueprinting will inform more things about the whole thing in your course. Yeah. Yes. Before I conclude, anything that you like to ask? Sorry, because I take your times. It's supposed to be 12:30. Now it's over 20 minutes. Really sorry for that. But if you have any question, I'm willing to take. Otherwise, I will conclude my session. Yes. Anything?
Dr. Saiful, sorry, idea.
Yeah.
This one still on the item classification just now. Okay, I just post my question on the chat though. What is the proportions for the level 1 item? Yeah, just now because you take in the slide you just mentioned level 1, most of it kan. So when you say most tu, what is the range? Level like just now you were saying for apa must know apa should know tu at least you have the 6:3:1 right?
Yes.
The ratio.
Yes.
What about the ni apa tadi the index itu? Thank you.
Okay. If you are looking the best practice, the best practice usually for the best practice 70% of the item should be from the bank item, and only level 1 questions is qualified for bank item. It means that level 1 item must be, if you have the bank properly, 70%. That's the best practice that I can share with you. I think US usually use that. Yeah, from the bank item. Only 50% will be the new items that you are newly constructed to be tested and to be banked if the question is performing well when being tested to the students in the real exam. Yeah, that's my response.
Oh, so meaning to say, when we talk about the discrimination, I mean, on both indexes just now. So meaning the item has been tested before, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then only then you were saying just now, right? Out of the tested item tadi tu, then 70%
from the bank.
From the bank in the assessment item, eh?
Yeah, that is the best practice. That's the best practice so far that I have observed. Yeah.
Oh, minimum 70%, eh?
Yeah, they try their best because they want to be very sure, the item already good item to be in the exam, particularly in the high stake exam.
Okay, alright, okay. So maknanya
But in Malaysia, we don't see that practice.
Oh, okay. So your recommendation you should start lah.
I would say we need to start somewhere.
Okay. So maknanya meaning to say if we because we just started, right? I mean beginning, can we just use 100% level 1 from the bank? Or
No, I think you need to have at least certain number of new question, because new question is important to update certain obsolete content.
Oh, okay. So you're saying 70% tadi?
Yeah, 70% lah, most that I can see people are using.
Okay. Thank you on that. And then one more suggestion, because just now you were talking about the blueprinting, and memang it's very interesting. Even in the comment also we can see, yeah. So are you planning to have micro crack ke ataupun online course about the blueprinting tu?
Yes, I'm planning, but the challenge is time.
Yelah, understood you are busy kan. Tapi I think because from our school we have had the opportunity to have the workshop with you, and I don't know, but personally we feel that it's a very good exposure because it's open our learning kan. So I think for the sake of the benefit of others, I think it's good if you can come up with the training, because just now you whatever you cover very very short kan.
Just exposure.
Itulah. So I
exposure.
think next after exposure, kalau if you can have that, very good lah. That was my suggestion. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
I will consider that.
Inshallah.
Okay, I will consider that. Definitely, Wani always, always put me on my toe lah, basically, to conduct. But let me find time for that, inshallah.
Thank you.
Okay, if no more question, let me conclude. These are only 4 things from me. I think the first what I like to showcase is assessment fit purpose. I think it is very important. We know why we chose that format, and we know that format serve for what purpose. I think it is very important to ensure the validity of our assessment, even for the objective assessment. And the second one is basically for each of the item have a standard guideline. And what I'm sharing with you today is maybe from from my own experience as well as in my own best evidence in medical education. So perhaps it can be replicated and implemented in your setting, but I would recommend for you to look for some guideline that's suitable with you, because when you follow the guideline, it's really help us to ensure the quality of the assessment item. In this case, it's objective item. I think, and very fortunate for us, most of the principles and guidelines shared similar, similar recommendation. When I saw, from previous guideline, more or less either is from your side or my side, for the objective is usually similar. So I think whatever I have shared just now might be useful for you to improve the quality of the assessment item, particularly the objective. And then blueprinting process is something that I would like to highlight as well, even though it's very short exposure, but I would like to highlight the importance to ensure the validity of the assessment. Because when you are sure about the whole blueprint of your course as well as the assessment, how it maps to the assessment and the competency, that will really help you to see things beyond what you are seeing right now. And last but not least, assessment by design. So if we design properly our assessment based on the right principle, I think we can really see the good student and the poor students when they are performing the assessment tasks we give to them in the examination. So is there, hopefully that is discriminate enough and the difficulty level is optimum for that particular student level. I think that's all my conclusion. I will share the link through Wani CDE, and Wani will share the whole PowerPoint slide to you through email later on. Okay, is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so thanks. Yes, if you have any last burning questions, yes, you can ask. Otherwise, we close the session.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saiful.
Okay, no more questions? Okay, so no more question, meaning that I will end my session. So maybe I hand over to Wani. Yeah, Wani, it's yours.
Okey, terima kasih Dr. Saiful. Bagi peserta yang belum isi feedback form, boleh tolong isi feedback form. Saya dah share link tu. Lepas tu link untuk slides ni akan di-upload juga dekat description YouTube video untuk sesi ni lah. Boleh download di situ juga. Okey, terima kasih Dr. Saiful.
Okey, terima kasih semua. Kalau ada salah silap, mohon maaf. Okay, semoga berjumpa lagi insyaAllah. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon and happy lunch. Bye-bye.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih.
Salam. Ya, terima kasih.
kasih.
Terima kasih semua.
Yeah, thank you.
Terima kasih, Prof. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih semua.
Salam.
Thank you, Prof.
Sama.